Markian, great to see you, man. Welcome to Popternative.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
I'm excited to chat with you about this. At some point, there's going to be kind of this, like, I want to work in the entertainment industry. I want to be a storyteller. But then at some point, there's going to be like one of those, like, I'm going to do more than one thing. And I'm wondering, depending on what the situation you were in, was it natural that you wanted to do a lot of things? You wanted to act, write, produce, or did it kind of just happen for you specifically?
I mean, I don't think it just happened. I think it's been a long time coming, just in terms of, and I was talking in some other press interviews how the reason I got into this industry, I did it as a teenager and it was based in theater, and then I went to theater school. And so my in was in theater, which, more than film, especially with per project is like super collaborative, right?
Yeah.
And I think I was coming to a point in my career, in the last few years and coming out of COVID where I was missing that collaboration. As an actor, I very much feel like I'm going to say the word tool here, but you are a tool for the director for their vision, right? So you come on and you check in, check out, and do your work, and it's still really fulfilling and fun. But I was kind of looking for more of that. So this project came from that attitude and wanting to work with people. And I worked with the best, truly amazing artists. And this project has been everything I hoped it would be, from like a collaboration standpoint, from a creation standpoint. And happy to finally share it with the world now.
Doing a really cool festival run. I'm really happy for the whole team. I want to kind of go back, because this is my kind of filmmaker hat, Markin, asking this question. I mean, everything kind of starts like with an idea or a concept, right? So I'm wondering, do you remember that first Zoom call, coffee conversation, phone call that kind of led to, developing or being involved with Hunting Mathew Nichols? Do you remember that one?
I do. It's pretty funny. So the writer and Sean Harris Oliver, incredibly talented writer. I knew he wanted to get, he was a playwright before this, and I knew he wanted to get into screenwriting, and that's been his focus for the last 4 years. But early on, I was lucky to get him in on this, and I had this idea for this movie. Basically we played tennis together in Vancouver when we both lived there. And so we'd be playing week to week, and it was just outside of COVID. And then I just, on the tennis court, I pitched him this idea where I was like, I got this thing in my head, this crazy idea for this faux crime documentary that, turns into a bit of a thing at the end. Yeah. And he just came on board. Yeah, it turns into a lot.
Yeah, so it's funny you said that. I was like, yeah, that's a really good way of putting it without saying much. I agree.
Yeah, it turns into a thing. Trying not to spoil anything for the audiences, because I want everybody to come in with fresh eyes and an open mind about what they're about to see. But yeah, no, that was it. I pitched him. He said yes, and he came back, I think, a month later with a 40-page outline. Of the script, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Yeah. And he just, from there, we turned it into a traditional script, and developed it for like nearly 4 years, because it's a lot of kinks. We had to work out a lot of details, a lot of stuff. So I'd say that this script, more than any I've seen in my life, the working on it and development process was really, really intricate.
Yeah, it was a long one too. I heard whispers about the fact that this was a big journey for you and the team. And that's like the coolest thing too, right? Where like you have this idea for this concept, you film it, it's done, it's wrapped, then you kind of wait. Now people are finally able to see it on the big screen at film festivals. I just kind of wanted to know, have you had time to kind of think about that kind of journey of like actually kind of finally being able to disseminate it to the world, Markian?
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Like it feels like you go through these like waves of things happen, things don't happen. You wait on people, you wait on the festival submissions, and so from last year, because we filmed last fall, I would say that it's just been, and again, to say cliches, but a roller coaster. So now we're on the up and up again. And you when you make something, and I'm sure you can kind of relate to this, of just, you make it, you think it's good, I like it, I'm the director, I'm the one who put this thing together, and you just hope that other people are just as into it and enjoy it. And this came from just wanting to really, at the end of the day, make a really engaging, entertaining piece centered around a character. And luckily, like we were at Newport to Nightmares to Film Quest. So this is now my life is it is just chaotic with screenings, but it's just so gratifying to finally share it with audiences. And for, you know, the early buzz has been super positive around it. So I'm just thankful that, you know, that whole thing of, I hope people like this is starting to come true. And I hope more people just join aboard the journey.
And it's evident in the film festival run that it's currently doing right now, but I think you'll enjoy what I'm going to say with this. I see Hunting Mathew Nichols as a two-headed monster because it's got the true crime component, and then it's got kind of the creepy kind of docu, found footage-y horror movie component to it as well. What was that like from a directing perspective, balancing that two-headed monster? Did it feel like a ping pong match at time? Did they complement each other? Was it tough? What was that like for you?
That's such a great question because you just described it perfectly well of that ping pong match. Like it's a very, very fine line we're walking. Yep. And so I had to be hyper aware during the process and in the post of that kind of tightrope walk. And we had a lot of discussions on set when things started to, and, you know, my whole, you know, mandate behind the film was this is reality. It has to go as far as it can into the reality sphere at all times in order to work, because that's the only way it's going to work. So in creating it with my actors and the writers and, you know, Sean and everybody on set was giving ideas to like, okay, if this was actually happening, how would our characters react? How would we go about this? Because that's where I feel like a lot of found footage or types of movies in this genre just stray away from really, really quickly. Yep. And to me, it's just not as exciting because I lose interest as an audience member, because once it gets a little too, I don't know, unrealistic, it's not why I'm watching that movie to begin with.
For sure.
I'm here for the realism, right? And so, yeah, that was a huge thing throughout my process of making sure that whatever I'm doing is engaging, number one, and number two, blurs that line of reality as far as we can take it for as long as we can take it. That was really, really important to me. And it was really difficult. The editing was was a thing on this movie.
It's interesting too, because, you know, true crime is, you know, an unbelievable, it's a big kind of, you know, like fan base with the podcasts and everything. And then you have the horror films, those fans are also really, so you're also dealing with like two big kind of like, exactly. And it's like, that's going to be kind of like no pressure, right? In a lot of ways, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no pressure. But, you know, I've been talking about this, you know, and it's an interesting thing because now we're going through the courting period of distributors and seeing where this movie wants to land. And I've been explaining that
there was an AFM announcement about sales.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we're taking the film out to the market, you know, this early November, and there's early conversations happening. But what I've been trying to explain is what you just pointed out, which is you've got two different kinds of fan bases: that true crime, and then you've got your, you know, horror fans as well too. And I think this movie is accessible to everybody.
And if you're not if you're not watching it, I know they're both gonna like it. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not a fan over here, you're going to enjoy it for these reasons. If you're not a fan over here, you're going to enjoy it for these other reasons, you know, and that's what I wanted to do, was make an accessible movie to a lot of audiences that, you know, even if you aren't into one or the other, you're still going to find something you like in this movie and have a good time with it at the end of the day. I just describe it as, you know, it's one of those things you just turn on, you pop some popcorn on a Friday night and turn on Netflix, you know, because that's what I do with true crime docs. I'm a huge fan. So I wanted to make sure that I was true to that format and that function, but also, you know, stay true to, you know, all the horror and the references that I've, you know, put in that movie throughout.
Well, it's funny because I guess it's just because I always have my creative marketing hat on every time I watch things, and like that two-headed monster was evident to me like 14 minutes in watching this film, right? Like it was like kind of like right down the middle, which is amazing.
And I was just going to say that, like, yeah, I think it's what separates our film from a lot of the genre is we are down the middle, and a lot of people don't know how to place us, and they don't know how sometimes I don't even know how to talk about it.
Well, it's tough because especially that teaser that's out there right now, I love it because it's I wouldn't say confusing, but it's like, it's funny because it's kind of one of those like, where's this going to go? Like, you don't know, like, where is
and that's where we want to keep it. So I've told my team and everybody, embrace the confusion, embrace the gray area. We're putting, press or marketing out on both sides, where this is also a bit fun part of like the marketing thing is for audience members. You are now part, if you engage with us online, you are now part of the mystery, and you can do your own research to figure out what exactly this thing is, which is exactly what our movie is doing as well too.
And, before we wrap up as well, I want to because it's all storytelling at the end of the day, but, you recently also did, a TV film called Return to Sender that just recently premiered on Up TV. And I wanted to know, like, does the mindset change preparation-wise a lot for something like that compared to hunting with Matthew Nichols, or is it all storytelling at the end of the day, or like not really? Like, I'm wondering about that.
I mean, I think because of the nature of hunting Matthew Nichols and also my role in it, like the prep was extremely different. The process was extremely different. But I think you just touched on like there's basics in storytelling. So as an actor or a director, that's always got to be top of mind, right? So, but I do think like my process when I do enter like a rom-com, which I've done a lot of work in, is different than if I'm entering a drama or a thriller. Like there's just like different head spaces I have to be in. And I think that has to do with actually like when you're in the process of shooting, when I'm in the rom-com space, everything's light and fun. And ball in the air. And I think there is a bit more of like a serious side when I go the other way. Because of the gravity of what we're doing. But I think now I'm kind of just walking back on my own words. You still just do want to keep it fun, which that process in hunting Matthew Nichols was super fun. So, but I just think it's just a different brain that I have to tap into when you go, especially with the directing side, because I had to look at hunting Matthew Nichols as a full narrative, and I had to like supervise that narrative. Whereas when I'm an actor, that's the director.
I just realized that there was a bit of a whiff with that question because hunting Matthew Nichols it's not like I'm asking you about your acting in like a thriller versus Return to Sender, but like you answered good.
Yeah, but it was like it's like also a totally different experience on hunting Matthew Nichols because there was a lot of improvisation, and that is something that I really wanted to make sure was present, so it felt or feels real, in the dialogue. With something like Return to Sender, that is very script. Like you stick to the script, there's not really any going off of it because we have to hit a certain amount of time. There's beats we have to hit, the commercial breaks that we know are coming. So yeah, that is also a different thing. It's not like a feature film where there's more freedom. Within television, especially, it's super rigid. Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, shout out to Return to Sender. Great cast, great crew. Shout out to Heather, Maddie, Sydney, Ian, Michael. Good people.
Great cast.
Great cast. The best. Absolutely. Yeah. And, congratulations on hunting Matthew Nichols, man. Honestly, it's amazing. There's going to be a lot of opportunities people could see it. And then eventually, people are going to be able to catch it, at home at some point. Good luck at AFM and everything. Mark, it's so great chatting with you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
This was awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks for being here.
Can you plug quickly like the next couple? Because Newport just had Film Quest is that happening like now, or did that?
It's happening right now, but I was there last weekend, so we played on Saturday. So can't catch us there anymore. But I think Film Quest ends this Friday.
Yep.
Then after that, we are going to the Blood in the Snow Festival, which is Toronto. On November 19th at 9:30 p.m. at the Bader Theater. So check that out.
Yep.
And then Whistler Film Festival after that. We don't know our date yet, but it's between the 4th and 8th of December in Whistler, BC. So yeah, I just encourage anybody watching to just follow us online at Hunting Matthew Nichols. And we put out all the updates and join our mailer list so you can know where the movie's going and where it's playing next, because we do have more plans in 2025.
And your Instagram is just your name, right? For you specifically?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turner, youtube.com/PopTurner previous episodes. Until next time, it's Markian and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popturnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popturnative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.